December 1945. Near Nag Hammadi, Egypt, a peasant named Muhammad Ali is digging for fertilizer when his shovel strikes something hard, a sealed jar, red earthenware, untouched for 16 centuries. Inside, wrapped in leather, a collection of texts so dangerous they were buried alive. Hidden from the world, hidden from the church, hidden from you. Why bury knowledge unless that knowledge is power, the kind of power that cannot be controlled? Among them, a gospel, not just any gospel, a gospel attributed to Jesus himself, considered by many scholars to be older than Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John combined. But this one was different. It contains no birth narrative, no miracles, no resurrection, no cross, no salvation story. Just 114 raw, unfiltered sayings. Enigmatic, paradoxical, dangerous. Like a spiritual mirror that only the most courageous souls dare to face. This is the Gospel of Thomas, and there is a reason it was buried for 1600 years. The early church didn't just reject this text, they hunted it, burned it, declared it heretical. Why? Because it contains something far more threatening than any miracle. The truth about what Jesus actually taught. These are the secret sayings which the living Jesus spoke and which Didymus Judas Thomas wrote down, opening the Gospel of Thomas. This is not a religious video. This is not about faith, doctrine, or belief systems. This is an archaeological expedition into consciousness itself, an excavation of the most dangerous spiritual secret ever buried. Whether you are Christian, Buddhist, atheist, or something else entirely, what you are about to discover transcends all religious boundaries. Because this ancient text does not ask you to believe anything. It demands that you see something. It does not promise salvation. It offers something far more radical, the end of waiting. We will open this forbidden text together. But understand this, once you see what Jesus actually said about the kingdom, you can never again pretend it is somewhere else. You can never again wait for someone else to save you. Let him who seeks continue seeking until he finds. When he finds, he will become troubled. When he becomes troubled, he will be astonished, and he will rule over the all. Logion 2. If you are ready for that trouble, for that astonishment, for that sovereignty over your own reality, then continue. But be warned, what you discover in the next 20 minutes will shatter everything you thought you knew about spirituality, consciousness, and the nature of salvation itself.
For 2,000 years, humanity has been fed a story. A beautiful, comforting, psychologically devastating story. The story of waiting. Wait for the blessing after the suffering. Wait for heaven after the cross. Wait for a Savior to descend from the clouds and fix this broken world. This is not just doctrine. This is the architecture of control. A masterpiece of psychological engineering designed to keep you perpetually dependent, always seeking, never finding, always hoping, never actualizing. Think about it. A population that is always waiting is a population that is always compliant, always obedient, always powerless. But what if it's deeper than that? What if waiting is more than just a psychological state? What if it's a ritual, a constant, collective broadcast of energy, a plea sent out into the cosmos? And what if something is feeding on that energy of dependence? Because the source of your salvation is where? Out there, in someone else's hands. This is spiritual anesthesia, sophisticated, systematic, brilliant. It keeps you looking up in desperation instead of in recognition. It keeps you begging for grace instead of claiming your divine inheritance. But what happens when the heavens remain silent? When the Savior doesn't arrive? When the prayers go unanswered? This is the spiritual crisis that the Gospel of Thomas was written to address. It doesn't just question this system of waiting, it demolishes it. It cuts off the source of food for whatever feeds on your powerlessness. With a few words that are so simple, so direct, so revolutionary, they had to be buried. Unless those who lead you say to you, "See, the kingdom is in the sky," then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say to you, "It is in the sea," then the fish will precede you. Rather, the kingdom is inside of you, and it is outside of you. Do you grasp the earth-shattering implication of this? If you are looking for the kingdom anywhere other than where you are right now, you have already missed it. The birds don't pray to access their airspace. The fish don't petition for permission to swim. They simply are. They inhabit their reality fully, completely, without waiting for authorization. This single passage doesn't just challenge a doctrine. It annihilates the entire foundation of external salvation. It tells you that divinity is not an act of looking up in submission. It is an act of looking in recognition. And for a world built on the economics of spiritual dependency, that is the most dangerous truth ever spoken.
If the kingdom is not a place, then what is it? If salvation is not an event, then what is it? Thomas reveals the answer with a principle so profound, so dangerous, it was deemed too radical for the masses. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. Logion 70. This is the lost code of consciousness, the forgotten algorithm of spiritual reality. But what if bringing forth what is within you is not just about expressing creativity? What if it's about changing your very frequency? What if the kingdom is a frequency, a parallel reality coexisting with this one right now? And what if your state of consciousness is the dial that tunes you into that frequency? This changes the teaching from a metaphor to a technology, a spiritual technology that was hidden. Your salvation or your destruction is not determined by external judgment. It is determined by what you do with the divine potential that is already within you. There is no angry God to appease, no cosmic courtroom to face. There is only a choice. Will you activate what is dormant within you, or will you let it die? This is the mechanics of spiritual reality that the church could never afford to teach, because it makes every priest, every institution, every mediator obsolete. 2,000 years later, a brilliant mystic named Emmet would dedicate his life to creating a practical science around this exact principle. He called it the law of mentalism, the law that states
Your consciousness is the only creative power in your life. Fox and Thomas, separated by centuries, are pointing to the identical truth. You are not a victim of reality, you are the creator of it. When Thomas says what you bring forth will save you, Fox clarifies your dominant thought, the state of consciousness you consistently inhabit, is what creates your external experience. When Thomas warns what you do not bring forth will destroy you, Fox explains a consciousness dominated by fear, lack, or resentment will inevitably manifest as suffering in your outer world. This is the law of the mirror that governs all of existence. The world you see is not happening to you, it is happening through you. Your outer reality is the perfect, flawless reflection of your inner state. Change your thought, and you change your world. This is why the teaching was buried. This is why it was deemed heretical. Not because it was false, but because it was too true, too empowering, too dangerous to systems built on your powerlessness. Let's dissect the pathology of waiting. Let's understand why it is the ego's favorite fantasy, and why it is the single greatest obstacle to your spiritual awakening. When you wait for God, you are actually waiting for permission to be divine. When you wait for love, you are actually waiting for permission to be lovable. When you wait for abundance, you are actually waiting for permission to be worthy. But here's the devastating truth. The permission you're waiting for can only come from you. The trauma of waiting creates a spiritual paralysis. It keeps your identity locked in the mode of scarcity, always lacking, always incomplete, always not yet. Waiting is the ego's favorite fantasy. You have waited for a sign, for someone to understand you, for your real life to begin. But what happens when you stop waiting and simply look? Not to the sky, not to the future, but to what is alive within you right now. This is the practice. This is the revolution. The kingdom is not coming. It is here. It is not a reward for waiting. It is the end of waiting. The kingdom is spread out upon the earth, and people do not see it. Logion 1:13. Why don't they see it? Not because they are sinners, not because they are unworthy, but because their lens is clouded by the illusion of separation. The illusion that they are separate from the source of their salvation. So, how do we clean the lens? How do we access this kingdom that is already here? The answer is not in more doing, more praying, more seeking. The answer is in stopping. Stopping the frantic search for what you already have. Stopping the desperate plea for what you already are. Have you ever wondered why the world is so noisy? A constant bombardment of distraction? Because in the noise, you are controllable. You react. But in the silence, the matrix begins to glitch. The programs fail. True silence is not an absence of sound. It is a presence, a connection to the source code. It is a revolutionary act. This is the ultimate paradox of the spiritual path. You find what you seek only when you stop seeking. You become what you desire only when you stop desiring. You reach the kingdom only when you stop trying to get there. Right now, together, we will enter the silence. This is not a technique. This is a homecoming. For the next 30 seconds, I invite you to close your eyes if you can. Do not seek anything. Do not try to achieve anything. Simply notice what is already alive within you. The rhythm of your breath, the hum of your aliveness, the silent, witnessing presence behind all thoughts. Just be. Now, open your eyes. That quiet, formless witnessing awareness, that is the beginning of the kingdom. That is the Christ consciousness within you. Jesus, in these lost sayings, never asked for worship. He asked for recognition. Recognition of what you already are. Recognition of what has always been here. Know what is in front of your face, and what is hidden from you will be revealed to you. Logion 5. The truth is not in some distant heaven or esoteric secret. It is right here, disguised as your ordinary life. Your struggles, your triggers, your patterns, these are not obstacles to awakening. They are the awakening, waiting to be seen clearly.
You came here searching for heaven as a destination. But heaven was never a place. It is a frequency, a state of perception, a quality of awareness. You were waiting for a Savior to arrive, but the Savior was never a person. It is the awakened consciousness that you are. The Gospel of Thomas does not offer you comfort. It offers you sovereignty. It does not give you a map to a promised land. It hands you a mirror and asks you to look past the persona, past the pain, past the story of limitation, and to recognize the timeless, formless, radiant light that is looking back. The kingdom does not arrive. It is revealed. And it is revealed in the exact instant you stop looking for it out there and recognize it right here. The kingdom of heaven is within you. When you know yourselves, then you will be known. Logion 3 and 1:11. This is the end of waiting. This is the beginning of being. This is the resurrection that happens not after death, but before it. The resurrection of your true self from the tomb of false identity. But understand this. When you reclaim this power, you do not become invisible. You become a beacon. And a beacon attracts attention. The price of sovereignty is that you can never again return to the comfortable ignorance of the sleepwalker. You are awake now, and you must choose to stay awake. You are not what they told you. You are what you choose to see now. You are the kingdom you have been seeking. You always were. Now, stop waiting and be.
To deepen this journey of inner sight, download the free companion guide, The Kingdom Within, a practical guide to the Gospel of Thomas. And to understand the exact mechanics of how consciousness creates reality, watch our transformational series, The Mirror Principle, How Your Inner World Creates Your Outer Experience. Thank you for walking this path with us. Until next time, stay awake.